when you've got success, you don't want to rock the, what you've been doing. And yet life is long, and this business changes so much that what was working will not. And you have to be able to embrace the new and say, okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. And that's basically what I'm doing across the board.
Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast, where we focus on how authors found success, looking at strategies that have taken them to the top of the bestseller charts, as well as what they've learned from their mistakes. Because being an indie author is more than knowing the latest marketing trend. It's about being innovative and creative and learning from your mistakes.
Welcome to Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show, we have
Martha Carr.
Yes, we do. We love Martha. It's her second appearance on the show. And it was great. I mean, she's just so interesting. She's just an interesting person.
She always has something interesting going on, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So she was one of our early guests in 2020. So we did a little bit of a catch up with her and talked about starting over. She's sort of reinventing herself in her writing life. And she's doing some Kickstarters. She's done some really good, successful Kickstarters. And so she has another one coming up, and we'll talk to her about how she's preparing for that. So
it was
very interesting. Yeah. So you've had some stuff going on this week. What have you been doing?
I have, y'all. My book came out, and I know, I can't believe it. So we're recording this on Wednesday. What is today? The 8th. And so it was supposed to, everything was supposed to happen on the 6th, but I loaded my book on Friday, thinking it could take a couple of days to go live, because I've heard that, a couple of people I knew, it had taken a while. So I just put it up on Friday. It went live in an hour. So
of course.
I had nothing. I mean, I was at a conference. I mean, I was speaking at a conference. I couldn't do hardly anything. I made a post in my group. I've been migrating my newsletter, and Adriel's doing it. I say I hired Adriel to do it. And, but Mailer Lite was not we couldn't verify the email, from the DMARC and everything. I mean,
because you had to switch over all that.
Yes, I had to do all that. And it was, it just was dragging on, and we were going through Squarespace. Well, it turns out it was Mailer Lite. They were the ones holding it up, and we didn't know that. And so I couldn't even send out a newsletter on Friday. We didn't figure it out until Monday. And so, but even without the newsletter, even just putting it up and telling a few people, the rank was, it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. But then by Monday, it was, I think it was like 3,800 or something like that. And I hadn't sent out my newsletter yet. I know a couple of other people, or at least one other person, sent their newsletter out, and a few people shared on social media. So that was great. And then I sent my newsletter out yesterday, and this morning it was at 2,200 in the whole store. So I feel super happy about that. I haven't spent any money. I haven't, that's all just social media or sharing and stuff. And people have been so generous and have shared it. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Plus I have, I put the first book free, because, of the new covers and everything. I put them all up too at the same time that I put up the new book. And the book's ranks improved within a few hours of the new covers coming up. All of the books. And then Sunday, they all went, the first one went free. And I think it's gotten down to 21 in the free store, which I'm so grateful for. And because that book's been free 100 times, but I think a lot of people, and I did free Booksy on Monday. I think Robin Reed's yesterday, ENT yesterday, and Robin Reed's today or something. And so I'm just super happy. I think
Yeah.
that the covers are maybe grabbing the attention of people who
Mhm.
maybe dismissed it later. Because if they had already downloaded it, it wouldn't let them download again, regardless of the cover. So
Right. Yeah, so it's finding new people. I mean, it
I
just
think
goes to
so.
show that it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how old a
Mm-mm,
book is,
mm-mm,
you
mm-mm.
can
And so
always
I'm
find new readers.
very thrilled about that. And so hopefully I'll get a tail from this. And you know, I've had, I'm making money right now because the free book and people are then reading it, in
Mhm.
KU and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm just super happy. I'm
Yeah.
super happy. And mostly I'm happy with myself because I've sort of just had to, I knew that I wasn't gonna really spend any money. It was sort of an experiment to see
Mhm.
what my baseline was in a way, and that doesn't mean I'm not going to start ads maybe next week or something, but I
Mhm.
just want to see. I just kind of
Mhm.
wanted to see where it
Yeah.
would go and how it would do. And I've been really pleased. And I've been pleased with myself that I haven't panicked or freaked out or
Yeah.
I check it maybe once or well, no, I check it more than once. I check it a couple of times a day, but I don't, uh,
At least
I'm
it's
not,
not like a couple of times a minute or
yeah, it's an hour. Literally, I am refreshed.
yeah.
I've got spring thumbs from
But that's such a good thing to, it's so hard sometimes not to do anything,
Mhm,
but it does give you that baseline so you can see
mhm.
really
Yeah,
what's going on without,
right.
running ads or something at the same
Mhm.
time.
Because, well, I just wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure that running ads to this new release is the best option
Worth it.
because
Yeah.
it's not the first in the series. It's not, I mean, it's a jumping off point. Certainly you could read
Mhm.
the others and it's not
Mhm.
going to matter one way or the other, but um it's so short that I wasn't really sure if it's really worth
Right.
it to run ads, but I might try, I probably will and try it just because it's new and if I can keep it at a healthy place in the ranks, then
Mhm.
I think it will help the other books,
Yeah. It's
because I'll
almost
get
like
exposure.
that's more, like I feel like with the books later in a series, it's more about like visibility or name recognition. Like you
Mhm,
promote
mhm,
those a little bit, and then hopefully people see them and go, "Oh,
mhm.
where's book one?" And then it
Yeah,
takes them back.
and I really think that it's easier to juice a new book than it is to try to revive, get an older book
Mhm.
lower, improving in
Yeah.
rank. So that's, if I do ads on it, it's because of that. It would be,
Mhm.
I mean, I will. I just haven't done them yet.
Yeah. Well, you've been a little busy.
I've been a little busy, so yeah, I'm happy. I feel really peaceful about it. I'm not stressing. I'm also like Inez Johnson was at this conference and we were talking and she was like, Jamie, you need a monetary goal. Like just to say you want your books to rise in rank or your money to improve. That's not, you need something tangible that you can look at and say, am I doing that? Am I not? What could I do to maybe get that to happen or whatever? And so I had a number. I already had one in my head. And I'm over that right now because the book's new, but the point being, it's not this huge number. Like I don't
Mhm.
need to make all the money.
Right.
If I do, that's so fantastic. And I cannot even tell you how grateful would be about that. But if I don't, if I just make what I would like to make, I'm still going to be so grateful. And
Yeah.
yeah, so, and I'm going to be grateful even if it doesn't, because it's done well to this point. So
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
happy.
So that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
you can remind me of that next week. And I'm
Yes. Well, we have it
trying.
recorded. So I have to go back and listen to the intro again.
And I also spoke at the Oklahoma Writers Federation, OWFI. I did a talk on building a newsletter full of readers that will buy your books. And I did a talk on the do's and don'ts of writing funny. And it was great. And it was a lot of fun to see. I saw Nick Thacker and Mal Cooper and Elizabeth N. West Inez, and so it was, and then some people from Clubhouse, which was awesome, and Maria Connor and Linda Hughes. So that was super fun.
fun.
Oh wait, I said I was going to say hi to someone. You talk, and I'll find it.
Okay. So let's see. So this week has been way boring compared to your week.
Mhm.
I'm actually working on the special edition of the new book that I'm going to release. And so I've ordered maps for it. And so I'm working, getting all those. You know how you have something in your head, you have to translate that into language so that they can create it, because I can't, I'm just not going to attempt to do the maps. So I've been working on that. And the guy I'm using is very, collaborative and going back and forth with that. So that takes a little bit of time. And I gave the book a rest, the book 2 in the series that I just finished. And I went back in today. I think it had been about a week. I was like, okay, I'll go back and look at it. So started doing that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just I'm trying out the book vault end papers, the colored end papers. So that's a process, and I'm figuring out how all the specifications go for that. And I'm going to have BookBrush do the template for me, like you can download a template from Book Vault. And I'm just not that Photoshop type person. So I sent that off to BookBrush to help me with, because they have the hourly concepts thing, that you can use them. So they're going to do that for me. So stuff like that, just like working on the interior and the maps and things. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's a nice change from drafting, which after a while it gets pretty old.
It gets pretty old.
I love it, but I hate it too. I have a love-hate relationship with the first draft. So.
Right. Well, and go ahead.
I went to see The Fall Guy.
Oh, was it good?
Yes, I liked it. It had a lot of action, which was more than I really wanted, but it was fine because of the people in it. And it had a mystery and a romance, like a real romance and a real mystery. So, yeah, so it's good.
Well, it's good. I'll have to check it out. Well, and Cecily is who I'm going to say hello to. Thanks for listening to the podcast, Cecily. She was one of the ladies that I met there in Oklahoma, who said she listened to the podcast and loved it. And so we're so happy you listened.
Hi, saying hello.
Yeah.
Oh, and we should also mention, do you remember when we had Harvey and all the floods and stuff? If anyone is watching the news this week and they're talking about Houston being flooded, Jamie and I are not involved in that. It's not where we are. And we're sorry for everyone who's going through that, but we're fine, in case anyone's wondering.
Yes, absolutely. And we're so sorry that, they're having to deal with that. But we're good. We're on high ground.
Oh, you don't have to worry about us this time. We've had other issues in the past, but not this
we got other stuff, but not that.
Yeah. So we don't have any new subscribers or supporters this week, but thanks to everyone who supported the podcast. We really appreciate it.
We do. We appreciate it. Well, we should get on with the interview because Martha's great and she has some good things to say.
Yes. All right. So here is Martha. Well, today we are really excited to welcome back Martha Carr. Hi, Martha. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me back. I love you guys.
Well, we are glad you're back, and we'll let Sarah read your bio and we'll get started.
Martha Carr is a journalist who now writes Recess with a lot of magic, some action and adventure, and a little romance.
Love it. Now explain that to us. You write Recess?
Yeah.
Is that a new genre?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be awesome if I could create my own genre. So I write stories that you can escape into where it's not going to raise your anxiety and you're going to have fun, and there'll be some battle scenes, and the main character is always female and she's got her own mind and is funny. And if there is any kind of tension, it's going to last for a chapter. It's not going to last for a book. People rise to the occasion. My main characters always run toward trouble, not away from it. They don't whine. and they show up for their friends, even if they're not very good at accepting help. It's kind of a thing that I seem to do, which I've looked at my own personality after I noticed that a few times.
Well, give us a quick update on what's been happening since you were last on the podcast in 2020.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
believe that?
everything happened. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Life
Well,
restarted. Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Well, so, there was that little quarantine thing
I
that
just said,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
That old
And
thing. Yeah.
that old thing. And just as it was ending, I had my 5th bout of cancer and broke the tip of my elbow and had my thyroid removed because of a tumor. I mean, it just kept bouncing along. And then my dog died.
Oh,
And
gosh.
that was 2021. It was a blast. And I spent it on chemo. And because of that quarantine thing, I was required to go alone. They didn't allow anyone else in. And it felt like MD Anderson echoed when I went in the halls.
Mhm.
And that caused me to look around and say, what do I want to change on a very deep level? Because I became willing to do whatever I needed to in order to change. And I started off by heading to Costa Rica and doing 4 nights of ayahuasca.
Yes, I talked to you right after that. And so, well, actually, you sent me a care package from there because my sister was
Yeah,
not well. And so,
right.
yeah, that was so fun. I mean,
Yeah.
fun for you, not for me,
Wow.
but for you. It was fun to get the package. Yeah.
And if you knew about ayahuasca, you know it's not fun for anyone. That's the throw up.
Yes. Oh, that's the, yes.
Yes. Yeah. But I learned so much about myself, and I went and did therapy after that and kind of unpacked what I'd learned, and it's changed everything. My entire life has changed since then.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, in a big, big way. Every area has gotten touched and changed, and it takes a lot of courage. I'm not an enormous fan of change, and yet I keep doing it. I mean, if you're going to be an author,
Yeah, you got
You
Yeah.
have to.
yeah, you have to. You have to
Yeah.
embrace it, even if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so our next question is, what's the most important lesson you've learned recently? And it sounds like you've learned a lot, but is there one that you would say is the most important?
Yeah, I would. And it's the one that's affecting me the most all along. And right now, it's be vulnerable and ask for help and be transparent. And, a lot of people like to do these posts of, I made 6 figures in a month. Here's how. And by the way, I snooze those people.
Yeah.
And for a lot of reasons, because I just don't buy it entirely. And it sets people up for feeling like, why can't I? And it doesn't explain the whole story. But I learned that it's more important to say, like me saying, I'm starting over, and I have one book that I own in my backlist, and backlist is everything, as authors know, in terms of continuity and making money. And it's better to just tell everybody and be honest and ask for help.
Yeah.
And also take the help where you get it, and don't look at like, well, are they worthy of giving me help? Just take the help.
Yeah.
And if people don't want to, be cool with that too, and just keep moving forward. And take my hands off expectations of like what it ought to look like. I have the Kickstarter that's coming out, or probably going on when this airs, and to do everything I can to support it, and then be happy with how it turns out. And build from there, and have this feeling of, this is longevity. This isn't a one shot, and it's all going to be great.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I've really learned, is this is really, being an author is a community sport. It's not even though you're writing the book by yourself, all the rest is going to be done with your tribe.
Yeah.
So
That
be
is
nice
exactly
to other
true.
authors. So be nice to other authors. Yeah. And make friends and be there for them too.
Yeah. I have a little thing, but I won't say it on the podcast because we try to keep it PG, but don't be a jerk. But I usually insert another word there, so we'll
know
keep
that.
it.
Yeah,
You know
I
that
know
saying?
that word. I do.
Yeah.
I know. Yes.
Well, what's the biggest change you've had to make in your thinking and mindset?
So I know this about myself. I've always known it. I prefer to stand in the middle. I've never really enjoyed being out front. So like I was a solid B student because, you know, in the A's, everybody's got expectations, and in the
Right.
C's and D's, everybody's got expectations.
Right.
But if you're a B, everybody's happy with you
Yeah.
and you can go by unnoticed. And that's what I preferred forever. And so I preferred collaboration, but I was also willing to collaborate and stand slightly behind and not take as much of the credit. And, you know, I was happy to do it. And for some reason, after everything I've been through, I want to take my shot and stand out front and acknowledge what I've done and what I'm doing. And I don't need to be better than anybody else. I just need to claim what it is I've done and stop feeling like I can't be successful unless I'm attached to somebody else. So that's the biggest change is I'm going to stand out here and let it be whatever it's going to be. And also be proud of it and keep going.
Right. And I think that for our listeners who don't know you, that, you know, you say you have one book in your backlist, but you have many books that you just don't own because you were with LMBPM Publishing. And so that's kind of an example of, you know, standing with someone else as opposed to standing on your own.
And no shade on them because
no, not at all. I'm sure you're very grateful. Yeah.
Right. And I learned a lot. And also Michael Angeli, who I wrote with for quite a while, would laugh and say to me, "Why are you still doing that? You don't like doing that. Hire someone to do it." And so it kind of got me out of that earning my place kind of attitude. And I'm not sure I'd be here if I hadn't done that first and built a solid base. But it's time for me to also claim my own good and just get out there and do it. And also, frankly, it's probably a safer place to be to have a backlist that you own that isn't dependent on what someone else might decide to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Somebody who has backlist books that I will probably never get back. I'm glad I have my own little stable of books that I can tap into when I need to.
That you can bundle or you can do different things with. So there is a universe out there that I co-created that has 200 books, but I'm going to start pulling people more toward me and this lovely trilogy I'm working on. And I'm going to do trilogies from here on out. After the third book, I tend to tire of wanting to keep recreating something. I did it. It was great. Now we're just going to do nice trilogies set in Austin where it's super weird.
Yes. Which is it's a great place to, are they paranormal?
They're urban fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, with some action adventure, and there's more romance in these than in previous books. So that's probably influenced by what's happened recently too.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Well, this blends into our next question, which you've answered a little bit, but has your business model changed recently? So you've had big changes in the way you do. So you're focusing more on your own books. What else are you doing in your own business, in your business model?
There's a lot. So I've opened my own store with that lovely one book, and people are actually buying it, which is wonderful that they are coming over. And I'm launching every new book on Kickstarter, and I'm putting in there, I'm doing something old fashioned and putting on the inside of the book the date and 001. And then if you don't get it on Kickstarter and you get it later, it's got a newer date, 002 and on up. So first edition. And
so you're actually printing that like on the title page or whatever?
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
Just like they do in trad. Yeah. And I met someone, and now I have a life partner who happens to be a product manager in IT, and he's creating something that's never been done before. We're doing an alternate reality game that should be out in the fall, and we've been testing it, and it's been doing remarkably well. So that's something that I can't even really explain yet because it's under wraps, but it should be a lot of fun at the very least. So everything about my business model has changed. Everything.
I think that's great. I think
I do too.
Shaking things up is always a good thing.
It takes courage, though.
Yeah, it does.
It does, especially if you've had success.
Yeah.
Well, both ways, because I've done both. I've been thrilled when I found a $5 bill in my purse, and I've had success as well. And when you've got success, you don't want to rock the what you've been doing, and yet life is long, and this business changes so much that what was working will not, and you have to be able to embrace the new and say, okay, here we go, let's see what happens. And that's basically what I'm doing across the board. It's scary at times. Also, our mutual friend Claire has a great book on Enneagrams, and I've done all of her things, went to her retreat, and I'm a strong 6, wing 7, which means I long for security, but it has to be fun. It's an interesting combo. And so change is very unsettling for me.
I'm with you on that. I do not like change myself, but I mean, I feel like the industry is always changing. You have to go with it, or else you get left behind. And then there's the benefit is that it's never boring, because you're like, oh, we've already figured out, how to do ads and how to do the reader magnet and all this stuff. And like, but if you're want to do something new, like sound like the game, maybe something completely new and different for you. So yeah, I don't enjoy change, but it can keep it interesting,
Well, that is a mild way to put it. And this alternate reality games have been used by video game producers, by big companies, to attract people to their game. And I tend the main characters. I'm a girl gamer, and girl gamers in books are rarely represented. So we are trying to attract that particular crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're borrowing from the gaming community and pulling it over to books. And the truth is, if we do really well at it, this next year, this time, 1,000 authors will be doing it. That's what we do. Yeah, we're like a herd. We will just pour into whatever's working. And about a year or two after we pour in, it's dead. And then you have to regroup and find the next fun thing to do. Yeah. So I guess it's good, because if left to my own devices, I would stay right where I am and just keep doing it. And I picked a profession where you just can't. So it challenges that desire for safety, which is it's not good, because I mean, it's an illusion that I'm telling myself, this is safe. It's really not. Nothing is. You just keep going and have fun along the way.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I'm starting over too, having not put out a book, but I am still struggling to get back what I had instead of looking towards what I can have. And that's a hard place to be. Like Becca has told me I need to let it go. Just let it go and move towards what's coming next. But it's hard when you've had success. You want to do the things you think will give you back that success instead of trying the new things and moving forward. Yeah, it's tough.
And I was where you were probably about 6 months ago. And I think you're probably in a process. And I know you're going to embrace it at some point, and then you're going to come up with some fabulous idea, and then you're going to blaze a trail.
I know, and then she's going to leave us all behind.
Yeah. Well, I hope I'm right next to her, but you're gonna blaze a trail. And
from your lips to God's ears is what I say. Yeah,
I have no doubt about it. It's we are the type who, well, one thing, we don't give up, but also we don't spend a lot of time shaming ourselves. We look at what went right and what didn't. We make different decisions and we go forward. And so we don't carry this burden, and we don't spend a lot of time on blaming. There's no blame. By the way, I have made stupid decisions before in publishing and spent large amounts of money on things that didn't work. And it is what it is. And you just, I've also done brilliant decisions that probably went better than I even deserved, probably. And then some things I worked really hard for, deserved it, got it. All of the things have happened. That's great. I learned from all of them. Then you just move forward. You do an autopsy afterwards. What went right? What didn't? What do I change? And that's it. It's not a personality test.
No, it's not. And you're actually answering the next question. So we'll just keep going with this because, and there's no, like, I don't do shame, but I do feel like guilty. Like, if I don't do something in a day that I think I should, I'm like, oh, I should feel, I feel a little guilty for that, but there's no guilt either. I mean, it's a neutral zone. It's
Yep.
totally neutral because we're the boss and we're the ones that decide. But I've said this, I don't regret any of the words I didn't write when my sister was dying or the next year. What I regret is beating myself up some for not writing during that time when I was healing. And that's where we have to kind of move forward and move on. And I do realize that I've done an autopsy on that and I realize I do that. So,
I
no
did the
more.
same thing.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. If only I'd written the whole time during chemo and the year. Chemo, by the way, goes on long past when they stop giving you the drugs. Yeah. For people who don't realize that, they want it to, and you have all the side effects for at least a year or two after. And I've spent some time saying, boy, if I'd only written even just a little more than I was, then I'd have this. And no, for one thing, it's done. And here we are in the present. And if I'm going to walk this walk, then it has to be about everything's okay as it is right now with what is. And we just go forward and you can't have fun if all you're doing is blaming yourself for what you didn't do or where you ought to be.
Yeah. That's here.
Then you're spending your time and energy thinking about things you can't really change. So
right.
It's not productive, but I do it. So I totally get it.
Yeah. And then you're stuck in the victim mode, which means it's harder for me to make choices because I'm stuck in victim mode. And it's only because I'm looking at things that cannot be changed. Once I can let that go, then I'm actually dealing with reality and I can make these small changes and feel good about them. And then growth starts. And by the way, and Jamie, I'll bet you know this, having done this for as long as I have, once you're successful again on something, no one remembers the rest. Not a single person. And then they treat you once again like you did something magical. And really, it was just this gradual.
Right.
And there's some places where it jumps up ahead, but it doesn't jump up ahead permanently. It just doesn't. You take that and you build on it, but it's all kind of a ride that does a gradual build. And then you get to places like this where it's like, and we're starting over. But we're starting over with a life partner. His name is Mike, very handsome, whatever, who happens to be a developer in IT, who happens to be a gamer himself and is building this game for me. So you just go through the open doors. And,
you just don't know what's going to happen, where the road's going to take you. So,
and what I have realized is that there are very few. I used to be so afraid of making a mistake in my publishing business. Like if I make a mistake, what if I don't do it right or whatever? But what I've realized is there are very few things that you can't recover from. Like some may take longer, but they're very, being that word that I didn't say earlier, it's hard to recover from that if, in the community, but there are very few things
absolutely
that you do or don't do, mistakes, quote unquote, that you can't recover from. So,
yeah. And also if you've been just a decent human being, basically all along, then you can also go and say, I just don't understand why the series is failing. Can you see anything? And they're going to give you the time of day because they know you.
Right.
They know that you actually do know how to write. You actually are putting in the time. You've been giving as well as receiving. And frankly, a lot of us tend to give more than receive. And that's something that's what I'm working on changing with this particular Kickstarter is I went and asked everybody. And I ignored genre too, because urban fantasy is a little strange because there can be thriller within it. There can be it can be very heavy on romance. It can be action adventure. So it crosses lines in terms of readers into whatever its kind of sidecar is.
Yeah.
And it was really heartening to see how many people were excited and happy to help because I told the truth.
Right.
Well, tell us more about what you're doing because you're in the preparation stage right now. right?
For your
I
Kickstarter.
am.
For
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So tell us how you're prepping for that and your
So
promotion stuff.
I also went hunting for influencers in the smaller range on YouTube, TikTok, and asked if any of them would do a shout out, and found 5 or 6 who were willing to. And I went around to all the authors I know and said, would you like to trade newsletters? Will you do a shout out? And they were all thrilled to do it. And and I'm on a lot of lovely podcasts. And also I get, you get these weird emails sometimes, and I'm for some reason I've been getting a lot of them where, hey, I've built this new thing that gives readers the chance to search for books based on. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll be happy to fill out that. And will you put this book on there? So I'm doing every little odd thing I can find. Also, back during that quarantine thing, I started a Pizza Friday. I was going to do it just for quarantine, where we could gather on Zoom and 5 fans could win a pizza in the US. And 4 years later, we're still doing it, and I can't quit it because it would kill me.
That's a great way to connect
It
though,
is.
with people.
It is.
Absolutely. And we do it once a month now. And they all got a mug for the new book. So they've been holding them up on line. And it's like every little thing I can think of. The advertising I'm doing is not on Facebook, because look at the logic of that. Where do readers go for reviews? YouTube, Reddit, TikTok. They do not go to Facebook. There's nothing on Facebook. There are places where people go to ask for a book recommendation, but if you're looking for where the reviewers are, that's not where they are. So I've changed where I'm advertising as well. And Kickstarter gives you unique URL codes so that you can see what's drawing people in. So we're going to find out where we're getting the best bang for our buck. So basically, I'm doing everything that my brain thinks of.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So you'll have data. You'll have actual data when you get that, which is awesome. So
Yeah. Right.
how far in advance did you start contacting people and planning things? Because I know people don't know how long it takes.
It takes Kickstarter is very time consuming. And this is book 2. The first Kickstarter I did, it was months and months in advance, and everything was very curated and perfect. And this time life didn't hand me that. And so it was more like, let's just get it done. And it still worked out. And that was kind of a lesson too, that it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do the work.
Right.
And yeah, so you need at least a few months if you're new to Kickstarter, or you're new to anything. You hopefully have some time. By the way, too, if you're new, the best thing you can do for yourself is also have a job that pays the bills, because the anxiety from trying to get this to pay the bills is too much. So let that run along. That's what I did for years. Let it run alongside, so at least the lights will stay on while you figure this out. And then you can take the time to make the mistakes and to look around for what you actually want to do, and you're not constantly making a panic decision.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is 100% true. Because, I'm not making what I was. And so it is a panic. I've moved out of that some, because I can make it up with some other, consultations and some other things. But it is a very panicked feeling to know that, and there's no reason. Like, that's the thing. That's what's hard too, is that, like, there's no reason especially my bride's books should not be selling, because they've always sold, they've done well, but now they're not. And so now I'm changing the covers, and we're going to try that and see if that works. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I just move on. I mean, what are you going to do? Quit? I mean, that's the alternative.
You could also come and talk to some of us other female authors, and we can, even if we're not in your genre, I'll bet we can give you some ideas that you may not have done with the backlist, that you might repackage it in a way that's affordable, and you might find that they start moving again. So that would be my suggestion, is start reaching out to, because you've got a lot of good buddies who know what they're doing, who would probably be able to give you some insight. I'd be happy to do it.
Well, it's just the whole point being that nothing is guaranteed. Like nothing is
No.
guaranteed. So we have to decide if we're going to keep going, if we're going to quit. I mean, that's really.
Yeah. But also too, the flip side of that nothing's guaranteed is that when you least expect it, a book takes off, which you know as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
which is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you keep going, and I love what I'm writing. So that's step one. And I love how I've packaged it. And so I've set myself up for the best possible outcome. And
fantastic.
Then we'll see what happens from there.
Now you set up a direct store with just the one book. So what are you using? Are you using Shopify or
Shopify?
Yeah. Now, was that hard to do? Set that up?
Yeah, that's why I set it up now. And there are other apps on there like Yotpo, so that coupons can be offered when there's more than one book. And so I'm a big believer in you get ready so that you are ready. So that when something hits, you're not scrambling and trying to figure it out. You're already ready. You kind of know this part, so you can build on it. If you can afford to do it, get ready. And act as if you expect to succeed. Don't act as if you're trying to protect against trouble, because when I do that, it means I'm trying to keep things small and contained. And I am not looking for solutions to growing. I'm looking for solutions to not losing. They are very different things, and you will have very different answers. Right. It's like I said, it takes kind of like a superhero courage to say, I'm afraid and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to act as if I expect this to succeed. And then the part two of that, though, is so the first book did, my one book, Amon, did a bit over 12,000 in Kickstarter, which is fantastic because there was no backlist for people to be adding on. It was this or nothing. And so, walk around being that's right, I did 12,000. And whatever Lasser does, be proud of that and say, okay, it worked, and go on from there. Don't set if you set up a boundary, like I need to get here, you're the one who set it up. It's not a magic number. Be happy and build from there and be excited. I mean, this business is kind of fun too. It can be. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Well, speaking of fun, let's talk about the Enneagram. Because you mentioned that earlier, and you said you've done a lot of work with Claire. So how has that impacted your perspective of yourself and your business?
That's a great question that I didn't know it would be when I started doing that with her. And so I'm a 6, which we're into safety. We are loyal, and we are the ones who are more likely to show up when you need somebody. And we are the ones who can read a room really fast. And we will have 6 plans to make sure we get there, which can be a real pain for others. And then I'm a very strong 7, almost just as much, which means if it's not fun, I'm going to bristle. Like, it's hard to get me in a meeting. I want you to email me and tell me why you want the meeting before I'm willing to go to a meeting. And so in making all this drastic change, if I didn't know that I was a 6, I would actually think something was wrong. I mean, I'm feeling all this anxiety. Something must be wrong. I just haven't spotted it yet. But understanding that part of me wants to know it'll work out helps me to say, you're just going to have to sit with it. This is you. It'll be okay. You just need to go forward and try not to take it out on others. Because, anxiety can come out sideways with, what are you doing? What are you doing? And knowing that, I know that I'm going to be uncomfortable. And so just knowing that helps me to sit with it and walk through it and get to the other side, which I'm starting to. And having done such a drastic change to standing out front and getting to the other side of it is like finishing a marathon, that feeling of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And it's kind of worth it now that I'm getting there. So, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to Jamie, to when you get to the other side of this and your books are doing well and whatever you needed to do, you're there, because it's going to be suddenly like, oh, I am capable of this. Okay, this was worth it. It wasn't fun, but it's definitely worth it.
Right. Right. I think that the entire author experience, though, is learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, I just feel like that's the entire, I mean, it's fun too, and it's great with the readers and all that, but there's a lot of just uncertainty that's really unsettling for so many people. I mean, I don't know how many people really thrive on uncertainty, but
Well, do you know what number you are by any chance?
I'm a 2 with a 3
Yours-
wing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's what flavor uncomfortable is it? And
Yeah.
also, to be an entrepreneur in a entertainment industry, which is what we are,
Yeah.
which means it's fickle and it can be dependent on how many extra dollars someone might have. It takes a certain amount of I'm doing okay today. Today is all I can control. It's the only place where I have any influence. I'm letting go of future. It takes, and that's not a bad practice for life in general.
No, it's not. It's really not. Yeah, that's a very good point. Just living in the moment and being present in the moment, because today nothing's wrong. Today I have enough money. Today today I have written. Today I haven't walked yet, but that's okay. I got
and you can also use that for today. I didn't do the words that I was hoping to do, and that has to be okay because it's what I got done. And here's where I may have a weird leg up on most people. I've had cancer 5 times. I'm considered remission. They're never going to say cured. Every 6 months for the rest of my life, I'll be getting scanned. And so I've learned that I live on that kind of precipice of uncertainty, and that's either going to drive me insane or I accept it and move on.
Yeah.
And so I choose to accept it and move on. My least favorite thing are those scans, because then I have to wait for the phone call. Right. And 5 times they said, well, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
And but then, there've been a thousand others where it was fine. So, the book industry, I just need to pull that over there and say, today is good. Today is everything is good. I have a hot boyfriend. My one book is selling. The second one is coming out. Yeah. And I'm feeling good. So we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that attitude. Yeah. I wish we all had it. Yeah. I wish you could bottle it and sell it. You'd be a wealthy woman.
Without being diagnosed with anything. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
at a very high price. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, those drugs, you see the price of it, and it's like $40,000 every time. Anyway, thank God for insurance. But for anybody who has not had to do that, and may no one else have to do that, it's really about asking yourself in the day you're in, am I having any fun? Have I done everything that I can? Then I'm done with that. And making peace with it day after day after day. And it'll add up. If you exercise that muscle, it will add up and you'll get better at it. And you'll find yourself relaxing at the end of the day and not doing well, I could be doing this, well, I could be doing that. Plus, if you practice it and you notice the world doesn't blow up on you and the books were fine and you just were reasonable with yourself, you will teach yourself. If you're unreasonable with yourself and say, no, I have to do X number of words or else, you're never going to learn it. You're always going to be feeling like, if I don't do this, then I will lose. Let yourself lose a few times. Find out. It'll be okay.
I was going to say, your world will not fall apart. It feels like it will, but it won't.
Yeah. And not only that, it may even get better. It may actually get better, and you will have more fun. And then you can hang out with your author friends and actually have some fun with them. Yeah. We can be fun people.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Well, if you had to start over today, what would you do differently?
Well, I am starting over today.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So what I'm doing differently is I'm trying to work my way into what pace would I like to do that I can also work in the garden, where I can also do other things that doesn't feel like pressure. That's my main goal this time, is really trying to come to a place where I'm earning the income I want, and it's the pace that I want. And I'm excited about the marketing that I'm doing. It's not just rote, like, okay, let's push this out there. So that's what starting over has done for me, is I can take all the knowledge I know about covers and blurbs and story and tropes, and how can I package it in a way where I'm excited to be doing it, and I can get rid of what just isn't exciting for me and stop doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then,
Awesome.
yeah, that makes a great day when you can do what you want to do and you don't feel that pressure, that external pressure, the pressure we put on ourselves. Yeah. So tell everyone real quickly the dates of your Kickstarter so that if they're interested, they can take a look.
Sure. So it is running from May 1st to May 22nd, 3 weeks on Kickstarter. The book's name is Lasair, Lasair. It means fire in Gaelic. And it's the trilogy is called Queen of the Flightless Dragons, and it's set in Austin, and it's a story about a girl gamer in a taco truck who finds dragons and fights interdimensional demons in Austin, Texas.
Oh, that sounds perfect for Austin.
South Congress, basically.
Basically. And Jamie's a fellow Texan, so she knows Austin. And Austin is one of the weirdest places. I put a lot of speakeasies in all the places are real. I put a lot of speakeasies in Amon, and we visited all of them. And I could have gone to 30 more. I don't know what it is about hidden bars in this place, but people do weird things like the Tower of Trash, which that you might know about, where the guy it's become a tourist attraction, and it was so tall they made him shorten it because of planes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Or the people on this little block who at Christmas time do creches with sock puppets, the whole block. And that's nothing.
Well, that means you'll always have something to write about. You will always have material, right?
Yeah. There's a creepy doll museum. You know, the dolls that kind of entire museum devoted to those in Austin.
Right.
So that's why the books keep getting written in Austin. And I'll keep doing it because it also gives me an excuse. I have a bunch of people, we go out and go together. Yeah. Plus, fans have started searching out these places when they're in Austin. They've started going to them and taking selfies. Yeah, so that's another tip. If you're writing books, put real places in your books, because then fans have a place to go.
Yeah, that's so fun. I love that. Well, thank you for being here, Martha. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me. You guys are the best. I love coming. Let's try not to make it 4 years this time.
Exactly.
Let's skip all that COVID and cancer stuff and just have a nice chat next time.
Yeah.
And when your books are doing really well, why don't you have on a bunch of us women, and it'll just be a party, and we'll just celebrate you guys.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, thank you.
Sounds like a plan.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Well, we will have the links to the Kickstarter and your website at the show notes, and that will be at wishidknownforwriters.com. And you can support the podcast at that same link /support. Thanks to Alexa Larberg for editing and producing the podcast, and Adriel Wiggins for doing the admin. Bye. Everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye. I waved. I'm so used to it.
Me too.
Thanks for listening to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. We hope this episode inspired you, empowered you, and made you laugh a little bit too. If you loved it, tell your friends about it. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. We look forward to being with you again next week.